Everyone wants to be happy, but very few people truly understand what happiness really means. Many people believe happiness comes from money, love, success, fame, or the perfect moment in life. They keep waiting for something outside themselves to change. While they wait, they often feel tired, confused, and empty inside. The truth is rarely spoken clearly. Happiness is not something you suddenly find one day. It is something you slowly build, step by step, every single day. You can have everything you ever wanted and still feel unhappy. At the same time, you can have very little and feel calm and peaceful. So the real question is not, how can I get more? The real question is, how can I live with a stronger and calmer mind? In this lesson, we will not sell fake smiles or give simple advice like just be positive. Instead, we will talk about real happiness, the kind that stays with you even when life becomes difficult. This is not only a life lesson, it is also an English learning journey. At Silver Narratives, you don't just learn new words or sentences. You learn how to think clearly, speak calmly, and grow with confidence. If you are tired of chasing happiness and ready to understand the truth behind it, stay with me. This lesson may not impress everyone, but it can quietly and deeply change the way you see life. Trick 1: Happiness is not a feeling, it is a skill. Most people believe happiness is a feeling that comes and goes. When something good happens, they feel happy. When something bad happens, that happiness disappears. This way of thinking slowly makes people weak because it puts happiness in the hands of events they cannot control. Life changes every day. Good moments end, and problems appear without warning. If your happiness depends on outside situations, it will never last long. That is why many people feel disappointed even after achieving the things they once dreamed of. The truth is simple and powerful. Happiness is not something you wait for, it is something you practice. Just like learning English or building a good habit, happiness grows through daily mental practice, not luck. A strong mind does not ask, is life easy today? Instead, it asks, how will I respond today? Pain is a natural part of life, but suffering increases when the mind is untrained. Most people react immediately when something goes wrong. They complain, panic, or repeat the problem again and again in their thoughts. A trained mind pauses before reacting. That small pause creates space for calm and clear thinking. This skill does not come naturally. It is built through daily awareness. Happiness training begins by noticing your thoughts. When fear, anger, or doubt appear, you do not need to fight them. You simply observe them. When you see your thoughts instead of becoming them, they slowly lose their power over you. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" a trained mind asks, "What can this teach me?" This small change in thinking strengthens the mind and reduces unnecessary suffering. Happiness is not an accident. It is a skill developed over time. When the mind becomes stronger, happiness becomes more stable, even when life is hard. Trick 2: Stop chasing happiness. The more you chase happiness, the more it seems to run away. In the next part of this lesson, we will explore why letting go of the chase is often the first real step toward true peace and lasting happiness. Start choosing happiness instead of chasing it. From childhood, the mind is trained to run after things, success, approval, comfort, and recognition. Happiness is placed somewhere in the future, as if it exists only at the end of a long journey. This belief keeps people moving non-stop, but rarely feeling satisfied. When you chase happiness, you teach your mind that the present moment is never enough. No matter what you achieve, the mind quickly says, just one more thing. And with that thought, peace is postponed again and again. Choosing happiness works in a very different way. It does not mean ignoring problems or pretending that life is perfect. It simply means accepting the present moment without resistance. When you stop fighting reality, the mind becomes lighter. The energy that was once wasted on complaining, blaming, or worrying becomes available for growth and clarity. The truth is powerful but simple: happiness does not come from adding more to life. It comes from removing unnecessary mental weight. Regret about the past and fear about the future quietly steal peace from the present moment. When the mind learns to return to now, happiness becomes reachable. Choice is a form of power. You may not be able to choose every situation in life, but you can always choose your attitude toward it. Responding calmly during a difficult moment is not weakness, it is strength. Every time you choose patience over anger, and clarity over panic, you strengthen your inner balance. Many people believe happiness will arrive only after everything is fixed. But life is never fully fixed. There is always another challenge waiting. Waiting for perfect conditions only delays peace. Happiness grows when you decide to live fully where you are, not where you hope to be someday. This decision must be made again and again. Some days, choosing happiness feels easy. Other days, it feels heavy and difficult. Both experiences are normal. Choosing happiness does not mean smiling all the time. It means refusing to let temporary problems control your inner state. When you stop chasing happiness and start choosing it, happiness slowly stops running away from you. Trick 3: Your mind is the first place you must win. Before life feels heavy on the outside, the mind usually becomes heavy on the inside. Long before failure appears in reality, doubt begins in thought. This is why happiness is not lost in the world, it is lost in the mind. Every day, thoughts speak quietly in the background. Some thoughts support growth and confidence. Others create fear, delay, and self-doubt. When negative thoughts are left unchecked, they slowly turn into beliefs. And beliefs decide how a person lives. Many struggles do not come from reality itself, but from the story the mind tells about reality. A small mistake can turn into a belief of failure. A short delay can become hopelessness. The event may be small, but the mental interpretation makes it painful. Winning the mind does not mean controlling every thought. Thoughts will always appear. The real skill is learning which thoughts deserve your attention. A strong mind does not believe every thought it hears. It pauses and asks, is this thought true? When the mind learns to question negative thinking instead of accepting it automatically, emotional suffering begins to decrease naturally. This is where real inner strength is built. Often, fear is nothing more than imagination, not reality. When thoughts are examined calmly and patiently, they begin to lose their emotional power. Happiness grows when the mind becomes a place of guidance rather than punishment. Many people speak to themselves in ways they would never speak to a friend or loved one. This harsh inner voice slowly damages peace, confidence, and self-belief. Training the mind means replacing self-attack with self-direction. Instead of saying, I can't do this, the mind learns to say, I am learning. This small change may not transform life overnight, but it deeply changes how life is experienced from the inside. Inner victories matter more than external wins. When the mind remains calm during stress, confident during uncertainty, and focused during difficulty, happiness becomes stable instead of fragile. The world will always test you, this is unavoidable. Problems, pressure, and setbacks are part of life. But when the mind is strong, challenges no longer feel like threats. They become tests, and tests are what build inner strength. Happiness begins the moment you stop fighting your own mind and start leading it with awareness and patience. Trick 4. Comparison is a silent thief of happiness. At some point, the mind learns to measure life by looking sideways. Progress is no longer judged by personal growth, effort, or improvement, but by how others appear to be doing. This habit grows quietly, yet it steals happiness more effectively than failure itself. Comparison often feels natural and harmless at first, but slowly it changes how success feels. Achievements lose their joy because someone else seems ahead. Peace disappears because someone else appears happier. Even good moments begin to feel incomplete. The problem is not ambition or the desire to improve. Growth is healthy. The problem begins when the mind forgets its own path and starts living through someone else's timeline. Everyone has different struggles, starting points, and lessons to learn. When you compare your behind-the-scenes reality to someone else's highlight moments, happiness fades without warning. True peace returns when progress is measured by who you were yesterday, not by who someone else is today. The real problem is not comparison itself, but measuring your self-worth using someone else's journey. Every life moves at a different speed, and every person begins from a different starting point. When these differences are ignored, the mind creates unnecessary pressure. Social images, success stories, and public achievements show only one side of reality. Struggles remain hidden, and doubts stay private. When the mind compares its full inner experience with someone else's carefully edited outer life, it will always feel behind. Comparison slowly turns growth into competition. Instead of asking, "Am I improving?" the mind begins to ask, "Am I better than them?" This change quietly transforms happiness into anxiety. There will always be someone richer, faster, or more admired. If happiness depends on winning that comparison, peace will never last. Real happiness begins when attention returns inward. Progress should be measured by personal standards, not borrowed ones. Learning something new, becoming calmer, or thinking more clearly are real achievements, even if no one else notices them. A calm mind understands a simple truth: another person's success does not reduce your value. Life is not a limited race where only one person can win. Many paths exist, and each path has its own timing. Letting go of comparison does not mean lowering your standards, it means choosing the right standards. Growth becomes personal again. Effort feels meaningful. Peace returns because the mind stops fighting invisible opponents. Happiness increases when the question changes from "Where am I compared to others?" to "How am I compared to yesterday?" This question builds confidence instead of envy. It creates motivation without bitterness. When the mind stops carrying other people's lives, it becomes lighter. Energy returns. Focus improves. Gratitude appears naturally. Comparison steals happiness silently, but awareness takes it back. When the mind learns to walk its own path, happiness no longer depends on who is ahead or behind. It becomes steady, quiet, and real. Trick 5. Gratitude trains the mind to see abundance. The human mind naturally notices what is missing. It focuses on problems, delays, and unmet expectations. This habit once helped survival, but in modern life, it often blocks happiness. When attention stays fixed on what is lacking, peace becomes rare. Gratitude works in the opposite direction. It does not deny difficulties or pretend that life is perfect. Instead, it trains the mind to notice what is already present. This small shift slowly changes how life is experienced. Gratitude is not a feeling that appears only on good days. It is a daily practice, especially on ordinary or difficult days. Each time the mind recognizes something it already has, health, time, learning, or even small moments of calm, it strengthens a sense of enough. Over time, this practice teaches the mind that life is not only about what is missing, but also about what is already here. And when the mind learns to see abundance, happiness begins to grow naturally, from the inside out. Gratitude is a mental practice that must be used even on hard days. When it is practiced daily, it slowly rewires attention. The mind becomes less reactive and more balanced. Without gratitude, even success can feel empty. Goals are achieved, but satisfaction disappears quickly, and the mind immediately moves on to the next desire. This endless hunger creates restlessness and emotional fatigue. Gratitude interrupts this cycle. It teaches the mind to pause, to acknowledge progress, and to appreciate what already exists. Simple things begin to matter again: health, time, effort, learning, and small improvements. These are often ignored, yet they form the foundation of a peaceful life. A grateful mind experiences more calm because it is not constantly searching for what is missing. This does not reduce ambition, it refines it. When the mind feels grounded, effort becomes focused instead of desperate. Gratitude does not require long rituals or special conditions. It begins with awareness. Noticing even one good thing on a difficult day weakens negativity. With time, this habit grows naturally. Gratitude also changes how challenges are seen. Instead of feeling punished by problems, the mind begins to notice lessons and strength-building moments. This shift does not remove pain, but it reduces unnecessary suffering. Many people wait to feel grateful after life improves. In reality, life often improves after gratitude appears. A calmer mind makes clearer decisions, and better decisions lead to better outcomes. Gratitude also strengthens relationships. When appreciation replaces expectation, disappointment fades. People feel valued, communication improves, and inner tension softens. Happiness grows in a grateful mind because attention shapes emotion. What the mind focuses on becomes emotional reality. When attention stays on abundance, happiness becomes more stable. Gratitude may not change the outside world immediately, but it changes the inner world first. And when the inner world changes, life begins to feel different. A mind trained in gratitude is not easily shaken. It finds balance even during uncertainty. That balance is a quiet form of happiness, steady, realistic, and lasting. Trick 6. Control what you feed your mind. Every day, the mind is being fed. Words, images, conversations, news, and emotions enter silently, often without awareness. Yet everything that enters the mind shapes mood, thinking, and long-term happiness. Just as the body reacts to food, the mind reacts to information. Constant exposure to fear, drama, and negativity slowly creates inner tension. Even when life is stable, the mind feels restless because it has been trained to expect danger. Happiness becomes difficult when the mind is overstimulated. Too many opinions create confusion. Too much noise weakens focus. When attention is always pulled outward, inner calm disappears. Controlling mental input does not mean escaping reality. It means choosing wisely. Not every piece of information deserves attention, and not every conversation requires emotional involvement. Protecting the mind is an act of self-respect. The mind absorbs what it sees repeatedly. When it is fed constant comparison, anger, or hopeless stories, it begins to reflect those emotions. Over time, this becomes a habit rather than a reaction. A mind that is carefully fed becomes calmer, clearer, and stronger. And when the mind is healthy, happiness has the space to grow naturally. Happiness grows when the mind is given space to breathe. Silence, reflection, and meaningful content strengthen clarity. When distractions are reduced, thoughts begin to slow down, and with slower thoughts, emotional balance improves. In today's digital world, this skill has become more important than ever. Endless scrolling trains impatience, breaks attention into fragments, and weakens focus. The mind becomes tired even without physical effort. When you become aware of these effects, you gain the power to choose differently. Feeding the mind with learning, thoughtful ideas, and calm communication builds inner strength. This does not mean removing enjoyment from life. It means balancing consumption with purpose. Mental discipline does not require perfection, small changes matter. Limiting exposure to negativity, even for a short time, can improve emotional clarity. Over time, the mind becomes less reactive. When mental input is controlled, emotional stability increases. Situations that once caused stress begin to feel lighter. The mind starts responding with awareness instead of reacting emotionally. Happiness does not come from escaping the world. It comes from choosing what enters your inner world. A protected mind is calmer, clearer, and more focused. When you control what feeds your mind, happiness stops being accidental. It becomes intentional. Trick 7. Happiness grows through discipline, not motivation. Motivation is like fire. It burns brightly for a moment, then fades. One inspiring speech or emotional video can lift motivation, but the next day that same energy may disappear. Motivation cannot be relied on because it depends on feelings, and feelings constantly change. Discipline is different. Discipline is the habit of doing what is right even when you do not feel like it. It does not wait for excitement or inspiration. Discipline appears quietly, day after day, and builds a strong inner foundation. Happiness is not a constant high or endless excitement. It is calm strength, a stable inner state that remains even when life is difficult. This kind of happiness is built through discipline. When the mind learns consistency, the inner world becomes steady. Small daily actions create powerful results. Each time you do what you promised yourself, self-respect grows. Self-respect is a deep form of happiness because it means you trust yourself. Discipline is not only about hard work. It is also about self-control. It is the ability to choose what is good for the mind and body, even when the mind wants something easy or instant. A disciplined person does not depend on mood, they live by values. Many people desire happiness but avoid discipline because it feels uncomfortable. They want peace without effort and success without sacrifice. But happiness is not free. It is earned through consistent choices. A trained mind becomes calm. When you wake up and choose discipline, mental chaos slowly fades. The inner voice becomes clearer. The mind stops chasing quick pleasure to escape pain and begins building strength through patience. Discipline also improves relationships. When you keep promises, trust grows. When you control anger, communication improves. When you stay consistent, you become reliable. These qualities form the foundation of a peaceful life. Discipline is especially powerful during difficult times. When life breaks plans, a disciplined mind does not break, it adapts. It finds new paths. Discipline is not stubbornness, it is stability. Motivation comes and goes, but discipline remains. Happiness is found in that stability. A disciplined mind understands that life will always have ups and downs, yet consistent effort creates a secure inner state. If you want lasting happiness, stop waiting for motivation. Start building discipline, not with big, overwhelming steps, but with small daily actions. A small habit repeated every day becomes a powerful force that quietly shapes a happy, balanced life. Happiness is not a reward for comfort. It is the result of disciplined growth and inner maturity. Trick 8. Learn to be alone without feeling lonely. Many people fear being alone because they believe it automatically means unhappiness. To avoid this feeling, they fill every moment with noise, constant company, or endless distractions. They stay busy not because they enjoy it, but because they are afraid of the silence within. But being alone is not the same as being lonely. Loneliness is a feeling of emptiness that comes from feeling incomplete. Being alone is simply a physical state, and it can be calm, peaceful, and even powerful. Happiness grows when you learn to enjoy your own company. When you are comfortable being alone, you stop depending on others to regulate your emotions. You become strong enough to face your own thoughts without running away. Many people avoid silence because they fear what they might discover inside themselves. But silence is not dangerous, it is a teacher. In quiet moments, you hear your real thoughts, understand your true desires, and recognize your honest fears. Learning to be alone does not mean cutting yourself off from people. It means becoming whole before sharing your life with others. A person who depends on others for happiness will always feel unstable. But a person who feels complete within can love without needing. Time alone becomes a space for growth, a place to read, think, plan, and reflect. It allows improvement without pressure and clarity without noise. When you stop running from yourself, inner peace begins to form. Some people believe being alone means they are missing something. In reality, many of the most successful and thoughtful people in history spent long periods alone to think, create, and grow stronger. Solitude is not a punishment, it is a choice. Loneliness is created by the mind, not by the situation. When the mind believes it is incomplete, it feels empty. When the mind believes it is enough, it feels whole. Being comfortable alone also improves relationships. When you are secure within yourself, you choose healthier connections. You stop accepting toxic relationships because you are no longer afraid of being alone. You value quality over quantity. A mature and happy mind can sit quietly and still feel full. This is a sign of emotional strength. If you want lasting happiness, learn to enjoy your own presence. Be alone, but not lonely. When your mind becomes your own best friend, happiness becomes natural, not temporary. Trick 9. Speak better words to yourself. The words you speak inside your mind are more powerful than any words spoken by others. Self-talk shapes identity, confidence, and happiness. A single sentence repeated every day can slowly turn into a belief. That is why self-talk matters more than most people realize. Many people think it is a small thing, but they do not notice how often their mind speaks to them. For many, that inner voice is harsh, critical, and impatient. It says things like, "You're not good enough," you always fail, or you'll never change. These words are not facts. They are habits. But habits, when repeated, become the foundation of life. When the mind constantly hears negative language, it begins to accept it as truth. This creates a cycle. The mind believes the negativity, acts according to it, and then uses the results as proof. This is how people remain stuck for years. Happiness grows when the mind becomes a kinder place. Kindness toward yourself does not mean weakness. It means strength and self-respect. A kind mind does not attack itself for mistakes. Instead, it corrects, guides, and encourages growth. When the inner voice becomes supportive rather than destructive, confidence increases naturally. And when confidence grows, happiness finds a stable place to live. A kind mind understands that mistakes are part of learning. It speaks with honesty, not cruelty. Changing self-talk is not about lying to yourself or pretending everything is fine. It is about speaking the truth in a supportive and constructive way. Instead of saying, "I can't do this," the mind learns to say, "I am learning." Instead of saying, "I always fail," it learns to say, "I faced a challenge, and I will improve." These changes may feel small, but over time they reshape the mind in powerful ways. The mind is like a garden. If you plant weeds, weeds will grow. If you plant seeds of strength, those will grow too. Your words are the seeds you plant every day, so choose them carefully. Self-talk also affects motivation. When the inner voice is harsh and critical, energy slowly drains away. When the inner voice is supportive, energy increases naturally. This is why confident people often appear calm and steady. They have learned to speak to themselves like a friend, not an enemy. A strong mind understands that every day is a new chance to improve. It does not stay trapped in past mistakes. It uses the past as a lesson. It does not fear the future, it prepares for it. This is the difference between a mind that destroys happiness and a mind that builds it. Happiness is not created by outside approval. It is created by inner support. When you become your own strongest supporter, life begins to feel lighter. Actions become clearer, and purpose becomes stronger. Start by noticing your inner voice. Listen to the words you repeat in your mind. If those words are harsh, change them. Replace them with language that guides you forward. Speak better words to yourself, and your mind will become your greatest ally. Happiness grows naturally when the mind becomes a place of support instead of punishment. Trick 10. Let go without needing closure. Many people believe they need closure to find peace. They think they must understand every reason, receive every apology, and get clear answers before they can move on. This belief creates a mental trap. It keeps the mind tied to the past, waiting for a solution that may never arrive. Closure sounds reasonable, but it is not always possible. Some people never explain themselves. Some situations remain unfinished. Some relationships end without clear answers. When the mind waits for closure, it stays attached to the event, and happiness remains out of reach. The truth is simple but freeing: closure is not required for peace. Peace is a decision. It is the choice to stop giving power to what no longer exists. It is the choice to stop living inside a painful story. Letting go does not mean forgetting or accepting wrong behavior. It means releasing the emotional burden you carry. Holding on to pain does not punish the other person, it only hurts you. It keeps your mind busy with old wounds and steals energy from the present moment. Many people replay the past again and again because they feel something is unfinished. But peace does not come from finishing the past. It comes from choosing yourself in the present and allowing your mind to move forward. Many people believe that if they fully understand what happened, they will finally feel better. But understanding does not always bring peace. Sometimes it only creates more questions, more thinking, and more pain. This is why closure is not a guarantee of happiness. The mind becomes free when it stops needing answers. When you let go, you release the mental chain that keeps you connected to old pain. You do not deny the past. You simply refuse to let it control your future. Letting go requires courage. It means accepting that some things will never be explained and that life is not always fair. This acceptance is not weakness, it is strength. It shows that you have chosen your peace over your pride. When you stop waiting for closure, your focus naturally returns to the present. You begin building a life based on what you can control instead of replaying what you cannot change. New experiences start to replace old memories, and this is how happiness slowly returns. Letting go also improves emotional health. When the mind is no longer trapped in the past, it can think clearly and make better decisions. It becomes open to healthier relationships and stronger choices. The past will always be part of your story, but it does not need to be the main chapter. You still have the power to write what comes next. Happiness grows when you let go without needing closure. The mind becomes calm, free, and strong again, a place of safety, not a prison. Trick 11: Simple living builds a strong mind. In modern life, many people are taught to believe that happiness comes from having more money, more possessions, more status, and more experiences. This message is repeated daily through advertisements, social media, and society itself. But this belief creates a hunger that never ends. When the mind is always chasing more, it never feels satisfied. Even after achieving something, it quickly moves on to the next desire. This cycle creates anxiety, not peace. Happiness grows in simplicity. When life becomes simpler, the mind becomes calmer. A simple mind is not weak, it is focused, clear, and free from unnecessary noise. Simple living does not mean giving up goals or ambition. It means removing mental clutter and choosing what truly matters. It means saying no to unnecessary stress and distractions. When the mind is surrounded by too many things and choices, it becomes scattered. Too many options create confusion. Too many desires create dissatisfaction. But when life is simple, decisions become clearer. Focus improves. The mind can move forward one step at a time. Simple living also strengthens gratitude. When you stop chasing endless wants, you begin to appreciate what you already have. A simple meal feels meaningful. A quiet day feels peaceful. A small achievement feels powerful. Simplicity also protects the mind from comparison. You stop trying to match other people's lifestyles or prove your worth through possessions. Your value is not measured by what you own, but by who you are. A strong mind learns to be satisfied with enough. Enough is not a limitation, it is a choice. It is the decision to stop being controlled by endless desires. A simple mind is a disciplined mind. It does not follow every distraction or emotion. It stays focused on purpose. And in that focus, happiness quietly grows. This focus builds confidence. Confidence creates peace, and peace creates happiness. Simple living becomes especially powerful during hard times. When life becomes difficult, a simple mind does not break easily. It understands what truly matters and what is temporary. It knows how to adapt instead of panic. The secret is not to remove ambition, but to remove unnecessary mental weight. Ambition becomes stronger when the mind is clear. With simplicity, goals are pursued with calm strength instead of desperate energy. Happiness is not found in complexity. It is found in clarity, in a life built with intention, not chaos. Trick 12. Purpose beats pleasure every time. Pleasure is easy to chase. It appears in small moments, a sweet taste, a funny video, quick entertainment, or short-term comfort. The mind naturally enjoys pleasure because it feels good instantly. But pleasure is temporary. It burns quickly and disappears. Purpose is different. Purpose is a long path. It does not always feel good immediately, but it gives deep meaning. Purpose is what keeps a person steady when life becomes difficult. Many people confuse pleasure with happiness. They believe happiness means constant enjoyment, so they chase comfort, entertainment, and quick rewards. But this chase never truly satisfies the mind. It creates more hunger and dependence on stimulation. Purpose changes this completely. When you have a purpose, life gains direction. Challenges feel manageable because you know why you are facing them. Purpose gives you a reason to wake up early, stay disciplined, and continue even when motivation is low. Purpose also builds self-respect. When you live with purpose, you stop wasting energy on meaningless distractions. You begin building a life that matters. This creates a quiet, deep happiness that pleasure can never provide. Pleasure may feel good for a moment, but it often leaves emptiness afterward. Purpose may feel difficult at times, but it leaves fulfillment. Pleasure is temporary. Purpose is lasting. That is why purpose always wins. Purpose does not need to be grand or dramatic. It can be simple, becoming a better person each day, helping others, learning new skills, or improving your mindset. The size of the purpose is not important. What matters is having one. A purpose-driven mind does not depend on mood or constant excitement. It continues even on hard days. This stability is the true power of purpose. It strengthens the mind and supports long-term happiness. Pleasure will always be available. The mind will always look for the easy path. But happiness is not found in easy choices. It is found in meaningful ones. When you choose purpose, you choose growth. You choose value. You choose a life that matters. Happiness is not a single moment, it is a direction. When the mind follows purpose, happiness becomes a natural result. Final message: the truth about happiness. If you want real happiness, stop treating it like a prize you will receive someday. Happiness is not waiting for perfect conditions. It is a skill you build, a choice you make, and a way you live. True happiness does not come from outside achievements. It comes from how you train your mind. Life will include challenges, losses, and painful moments. That is unavoidable. But a mind that learns to stay calm, strong, and focused can find peace even during storms. Happiness is not the absence of problems. It is the presence of inner strength. So choose today. Stop chasing and start choosing. Choose discipline over temporary pleasure. Choose purpose over comfort. Choose to protect and train your mind. When thoughts become loud, remember they can be guided. This journey is not easy, but it is worth it. Every small step builds a stronger mind, and a stronger mind builds a happier life. If you want more lessons like this, where English learning meets real-life growth, you are in the right place. Silver Narratives is not just about language. It is about building mindset, improving your English, and becoming a stronger version of yourself. Keep learning. Keep growing. Keep believing in your own power, because happiness is not a destination. It is a way of living.